So never got to Sudbury schools. Sudbury, Summerhill is sort of the, I guess it's the pinnacle. But there hasn't been. I think you have to get a Summerhill school permission to be a Summerhill school. So there aren't many copies, and I think there have been attempts, and then they complained about it. So Sudbury model schools. There are several Sudbury model schools all over the place. There are about 30 Sudbury type schools around the world. So there's 30 schools. So there are schools around. There's some in Framing. It was founded in 1968 in Framingham, Massachusetts. That's where the revolution began. Massachusetts kicked out the British in 1774, so they actually had a revolution before the so-called revolution even happened. They was able to kick out all the British royalists in 1774. That's where a lot of things happened. Lexington and Concord was in Massachusetts. Massachusetts always seems to be this. I think the first gay marriage was approved in Massachusetts, so it's Massachusetts is a progressive state. So it's not a surprise that actually a Sudbury school was founded um, in uh, um, in Massachusetts. A Sudbury school is a democratic education in which the students individually decide what they do with their time and learn as a byproduct of ordinary experience rather than through classes or standard curriculum. I do have 3 required classes that I think that the School for the Postmodern Revolutionaries should have. And the School for the Postmodern Revolutionaries, they should have Robert's Rules of Order, okay? This book here. And essentially what this book is, it establishes the procedures of how a meeting should be run. And it's the Robert's Rules of Order. So how can a democratic meeting be run to where it is most effective for everybody? And so a democratic meeting that is mostly is helped on by anybody is sort of what? So I mean you're going to have like logistic issues, right? Only one person can speak at a time, and so there has to be sort of, okay, you got time to speak, you got time to speak, and then a decision is made. The minority get their say and the majority get their way. That comes from the Robert's Rules of Order. The idea is to run an efficient deliberative assembly for a group of people, and I think most constitutions, they abide by the Robert's Rules of Order. They deflect the Rules of Order to Roberts. And so the understanding how a democracy works and how the town hall meeting works, I think you need to know the terms and the ideas. Point of order, point of order means shut up. You're not playing by the rules, so we got to do something else. And some other, statements. I move a motion to do this. I want to make a motion to change the Constitution. I make a motion to form a constitutional committee. I make a motion to make an investigative committee to check out some sort of crime. But that all comes from Robert's Rules of Order, so I think that's absolutely required. And then I think the Great Books program is absolutely required. And then the other one is relationships, but I'm not for sure how that would actually work. But sort of what is a positive relationship, okay? In terms of actually listening to one another, it takes time to actually listen to one another. Conflict resolution, there has to be some sort of agreement or some sort of social contract. I believe in Jean-Jacques Rousseau's ways. So the Sudbury Model Schools, they said there's 30 of them all over, but actually there's way more than that. So see, we have there's one being formed in Louisville, which is very exciting. California, there's 3 of them. Then Colorado, there's 1. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 2 in Connecticut, 1 in Delaware, 2 in Florida, 1 in Georgia, 1 in Hawaii, 1 in Illinois, 1 in Indiana. 1 being started in Louisville, 3 of them in Maryland, 1 in Massachusetts, 1 in Michigan, 1 in Nebraska, 1 in New Jersey, 1 in New York, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in Oregon, 2 in Pennsylvania, 1 in Texas, 1 in Utah, 2 in Virginia, 3 in Washington, and 1 in West Virginia. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So actually the Wikipedia definition is wrong. There's 36 Sudbury model schools in America. Okay, so there is some places for democracy in America at these Sudbury Valley schools. So there's actually more. They said there's no breach. So really those required classes, I think the Great Books program, that's sort of to develop the curriculum for the Great Books program, because I think there should be a Great Books element into it, because that's the greatest thoughts that Western civilizations ever come up with. Of course, those things should be considered. And you also have almost want to replace relationships with vocation, because having vocational, you don't want the people just to learn all these ideas and just think they're a bunch of know-it-alls. and really have no talents that they can do with anything else. So it's good to understand democracy and the Robert's Rules of Order and how things people govern each other, but it's also important to know how to do things. Okay, drive a forklift, drive a vehicle, plow a field. Run a cultivator, run heavy equipment, heavy machinery, be a botanist or a chemist. So you need to have real talents. You actually have to be able to, perform and do things so that way you don't just leave and say, when you apply for a job, well, what can you do? Well, I know a lot about the Einstein's theory of relativity. Well, if you're not applying for a scientific job, what kind of job will you actually get? The idea isn't just to get people into a job. That's what the industrial model schools do. But that is in order to live in America, you have to have a job, right? So not only get a job, but also start their own businesses. I think that's an important part of it. So start their own businesses, to come up with the original idea, to become inventors, to pull their credentials so that they can become, that's how you become rich. Those are two ways you become rich, is pull your credentials or you come up with the original idea. Those are the two ways you become rich. So I think that they have to pull your credentials. You can get credentialed in welding through Sudbury model schools. You should be able to. You should be able to get credentialed with computer type of repair. So vocational is really important, but that's more of a principle. That's not really a class. So just the two classes, a great books class and the Robert's Rules of Order class to understand how democracies works. And in that Robert's Rules of Order, you also learn, about the Constitution of the school and about how the town hall meeting works. So you actually got to learn about how the structure of the school is run. So, and the reason why that's important is because there's no governing documents anywhere. We have the U.S. Constitution, you got the Kentucky Constitution, but how many people even read either one of those constitutions? Okay, and then you go to Louisville. So which constitutions are they actually listened to? Which one holds sway? Which one overpowers the other? Constitution of Kentucky has been gutted and butchered so much. Actually, the original intent and meaning of a lot of the provisions and passages of the Kentucky Constitution have been wiped out in favor of King Cole and a lot of the corporations. The 1891 Constitution of Kentucky was very anti-corporations when it was first developed, and it expands our personal freedoms. But again, those are not actually incorporated into our day-to-day activities. There are denied powers. You cannot tell me that I cannot say something or not say something. Governments cannot influence how people practice a religion. They cannot influence how people speak about one another. Okay, so those are denied powers, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like those are actual. It seems like basically people are making up the rules as they go along. People pick and choose and say, oh, like disorderly conduct or harassment communications. If someone's talking to you disrespectfully, that's harassing you, right? But that's acceptable, in some respects is okay, but other ones isn't. So, and actually sometimes just an argument or a debate, that you could really become like best friends after you sort of have a hardcore sort of conversation with each other where there's a bunch of insults, but at the end you could actually come to a greater understanding with that. So, there's and in every university they'll have like there's the professional standards, and then there'll be the standards for the state, and then they'll have their own governing constitutions, right, embedded in theirs, and then so really it just seems like there's this document, that document, all these different competing documents everywhere, and there's no one founding document that everybody is getting, all the rights and how the things work. So I think that has to be pinpointed. There has to be a constitution that is written down for the school, and it needs to be adhered to, and it needs to be rewritten if it doesn't, do its job. So there's no accepted definition of a Sudbury school. Generally, it's direct, democracy and the freedom to do what you want to do. So really, freedom, trust, respect, responsibility, democracy, autonomy, sovereignty. I think these are the governing principles that you want to have. So Sudbury refers to Sudbury Valley School. It's founded in 1968 in Framingham, Massachusetts. There are 36 Sudbury schools in America. They're not exactly associated in any way, but there's a loosely connected network that are mutually supportive of each other, based in the beliefs that children have already the main behaviors needed in adulthood. So you could teach a child to learn chess or how to do welding or how to do anything that an adult can do, and have full democratic rights in childhood is the best preparation for life in a democracy. So to learn how to exist in a democratic setting, to how to have a deliberative process, how to run a meeting, all these are important talents that anybody in a democracy should be able to have. Sudbury School includes intangibles as freedom, trust, respect. These words with multiple meanings are ripe for misinterpretation. So, but those are the principles, right? So that's what they actually want to go on. underlying beliefs. Sudbury schools are based on the educational belief that children are extremely good, therefore they don't need to be taught the main behaviors needed by adults, such as creativity, imagination, alertness, curiosity, thoughtfulness, responsibility, and judgment. What children lack is experience, and what can be gained if adults guide students in open ways. So they can, that's what they need to do, is gain experiences. And so how do you gain experience in a democracy? Well, you run a meeting or you participate in the meeting. Fundamental premises of the school are simple: that all people are curious by nature, that the most efficient, long-lasting, profound learning takes place when started and pursued by the learner. All people are creative if they're allowed to develop their unique talents, that age mixing among students promotes growth in all members of the group, and that freedom is essential to the development of personal responsibility. All aspects of a governing Sudbury school are determined by the weekly school meeting, which is modeled by the traditional New England town meeting. So there's, I think there should be a monthly meeting, which is sort of the bigger issues, and then the sort of the housekeeping weekly school meetings that you know, if there's new decisions, because you don't need new decisions being made every time, and sometimes you get people power that can just become overzealous and, you know, say chalking is littering when chalking clearly isn't littering, and there should be some way to sort of fight that too, I would think. School meeting passes, amends, and repeals school rules, manages school budgets, and decides hiring and firing of staff. Each individual present, including teachers and staff, has an equal vote. Most decisions are made by simple majority, but some require supermajority. School rules. I even like the idea of the Occupy movement, which says that it had to be a the ideal standard of direct democracy isn't a majority or supermajority, but it's a consensus-based democracy. So we all agree on what should happen. And if somebody doesn't agree, then we sit there and we talk about it until we resolve that conflict. That is the way it goes. We sit there and we talk about it until it resolves. So updated repeatedly over time, forms a school code of law. Usually there's a set procedure to handle complaints, and most schools follow guidelines that respect the idea of due process of law. There are usually rules requiring investigation, a hearing, a trial, a sentence, and allowing for an appeal, generally following the philosophy that students face the consequences of their own behavior. Learning is a natural byproduct of all human activity. Learning is self-initiated and self-motivated. There are many ways to learn. It's a process you do, not a process done to you. Presence and guidance of a teacher are not necessary, but you know, they can be guides along the way. And I think having classrooms, traditional classrooms, where you could pick the different classes, you know, having the free educational exchange that will limit the authoritarianness of the thing. There will be democratic structures within the classrooms, and you could still, like, you know, at the end, you have to be credentialed, right? You have to get that piece of paper that says that you know something, and the only way you can get somebody that says that they know something is by having some other person say that you had learned it. So you can govern your own class, create your own syllabus, and follow your own curriculum, or you could choose another made class that was already made up by someone else that you agree with. And so I'm not against that type of, you know, I think actually there should be like 30 or so required classes that you have. And whereas if you don't go through the already made classes, then you have to come up with something on your own. So you have to make, you know, something of equal or comparable work. You know, 30 classes is what you have to do in 4 years, and with only the Robert's Rules of Order and great books being the required thing, and maybe the relationship class. But so 2 required classes. I don't know. The relationships is important, actually. That's something that nobody talks about. But also civics and money, and there's a lot of issues that schools don't even actually touch upon. So in terms of, you know, managing your money and budgeting, that's something that's important. In terms of understanding the laws that govern society, those are important too, and how things work. So I think that the open democratic nature of it can open the door for lots of, you know, lots of ways and methods of doing things. It can open the door to becoming an astronaut, to becoming a lawyer. A Sudbury model school, if done correctly, can make any type of person do any type of thing. Okay, sitting around playing video games, there's very little redemption with that. You know, maybe if you're designing video games, you know, that's one thing, but if you're actually just, you know, wasting your life away in their world, then you're not, you know, that it's fun and it's something to do, but it's not going to make you any money, and it's not productive. So you're not being a productive member of society, you're just being a consumer. So reading is treated the same as any other subject. Students learn to read when they choose, simply by going on their lives. Comparison with related models, de-emphasis of classes, age mixing, and autonomous democracy. So again, you know, there aren't real classes there. You could have a class of learning wiffle ball, you know, and just have a wiffle ball class, and I don't know what you would learn with that. But I mean, I took a hip hop class I took black music class, and there's values in these types of classes, but they weren't democratic, and we weren't told to talk with each other, so it missed a democratic element to the whole thing, and really just made the authoritarian dictator had all the power, and nobody else had any power, so we were just at each other's throat with the horizontal violence. And so Sudbury model schools are really good. I'm glad I read the Summerhill one because they were more articulate about their judicial proceedings and how they work with all that. So I'm actually done with Sudbury model schools with the with Wikipedia and how they do it. I can actually run through homeschooling real fast because homeschooling is sort of the option of last resort if this is sort of to combat against the authoritarian schools. If they don't allow you to, if the kid isn't doing very well in the schools, then you should have the option to homeschool them. You can play ball. You come up with a comparable portfolio that says they know the math at the level of the sixth graders, they know the algebra and the science, and they know this subject and that subject, so therefore they should pass the sixth grade. Homeschooling is also good sort of for the Jean-Jacques Rousseauians to protect their babies, to sort of influence them or let them be free and to make their own decisions. But again, just the same thing with self-education or homeschooling or the democratic schools. You're going to have the issue of, well, what did you learn? If you just sit around and just play video games, is that homeschooling? No, that's not homeschooling. A good homeschooler would be somebody who sort of encourages their kids to plant their own garden, to have their own cows, to have their to create their own scientific experiments, to learn welding, to learn a computer repair, to learn electric work, or to learn there's so many things that they can be learning, and then if they want to do a type of job, then you can go on with that. So, but still the same argument that they're going to say, well, homeschooling, did you actually learn anything? Because a person, we all learn doing anything. A person can actually justify playing video games, but you got to justify it, right? You have to say, well, I learned, how to interact and communicate and socialize with others by playing a video game. And that could be possible, right? Call of Duty, you're talking to this person, you're talking to that person. But homeschooling, that's all. That's also homeschooling is important to kind of say, to acknowledge that there is a political structure that all students come from in some type of school or some type of home environment. If they're getting beat up, that's they're not going to be able to learn anything. So if there's child abuse that's going on at the home and they're anti-democratic, or if the environment at school is not conducive to learning, then that's something that is unfortunate and needs to be fixed and remedied, probably through the state laws or through the police. So the politics matters. How if they're not learning anything, they're being oppressed there. They're not going to be strong, independent people. If you want to make the child good, you make them strong. So you got to do something to be able to help that kid. If they did get into Sudbury model schools and they're being beat up, I wouldn't think that that's actually true, because if you put them in Sudbury model schools, it means you love your kid enough that you want them to get a real education instead of just to be an authoritarian, stuck in an authoritarian dictatorship of shut your mouth and do as you're told. So that's I would think that if you put your money and you put your kid into better schools, that you actually care about their education. You wouldn't want to just be pounding them and smacking them around and telling them to do dishes and making them slaves out in the field. That isn't right. Khan's Academy, I can actually just, well, I probably should look us up. Khan's Academy, Sugata Mitra Vocational Schools, St. John's College, and self-education. Self-education, again, just like homeschooling, just like democratic schools, you have to get credit for what you're doing. And Khan's Academy is a perfect way to do that. So if you want to learn algebra, then you want to get credit for it, then you learn algebra by going through the 30 online lessons of Khan's Academy, and you have an administrator who had watched you do it, and then once you finish Khan's Academy and you show that you're proficient or distinguished in the field that he had taught, then you get credit for an A of learning that skill in that class. So therefore you advance. So it's not, I'm not saying that they need to do what other people say. I'm just saying that they have to get somebody witnessing what they're doing, so that way they could say, prove to others that they know how to do the things that they say they know how to do. I'm actually going to stop this video, and I'm going to go into these other ones in the next class. So this was the Sudbury Model Schools, a little bit about homeschooling, a little bit about Khan's Academy, but I'm going to get into more depth in the next video.